training models of galactic evolution. So planetary nebulae are fabulous probes for galactic evolution because they are basically the only objects that can be as old as the galaxy, more or less, and they can probe oxygen through the life of galaxy, because oxygen, as a first approximation, and everything here is first approximation, we will not go into much detail, is not evolving in planetary nebulae of low mass project. So the type of work that we are doing is metalicity, for example, oxygen here, here, of the alpha element to the galaxy. And these distributions typically are huge error bars, and I try to be super honest with error bars because I don't have a preference on how the galactic gradient evolves or go. I just want to see what the data tells me and then study the models and see which model can be constrained by this data. The metallicity gradients of planetary nebulae are typically negative, pretty shallow, and they are pretty well fit by one slope to the galaxy. Now there's something to say about the fitting well. There is a lot of statistical work that you will see in this talk, and you can go and read the past papers and the future paper to see exactly how the statistics work here. Now, as we all know, planetary nebulae can be divided into three types, and in this work, morphology helps me to exclude, asymmetric planetary nebulae from the sample because we need distances, and as you know, distance in planetary nebulae need radii, and radii in bipolar planetary nebulae are hard to deny. So type 1, 2, and 3, as defined by the paper group in the 70s, are still the three different populations of planetary nebulae in the galaxy, and this is how we divide these planetary nebulae. We have studied in 2010 painstakingly all the publications since the beginning of times, and if they met some criteria, we have taken them and put them all in this huge sample, which we keep updating, and now it is updated with the new compact planetary nebula sample that Eva, Show, and I are preparing, and they will be published soon. And the distances are calibrated with the mathematical calibration. So now, as a first example, I give you the oxygen and neon gradients with the galaxy for type 1, 2, and 3 planetary nebulae. Now, here we are talking about galactic disk, and so I'm sure that I exclude halo and bulge planetary nebulae, and the bulge planetary nebulae to the best of our knowledge. I mean, we take type 3 planetary nebulae that are high enough to be for the halo, planetary nebulae that are high enough to be in the halo. For the bulge, we take planetary nebulae that are of a certain brightness, that are compact, and that have certain specific characteristics to be bona fide bulge planetary nebulae. There is contamination, of course. If you put the bulge in this sample, you get steeper gradient, and this is how in the past people have obtained steeper gradient. It looks like there is a slightly decreasing in negative slope from type 1 to type 2 to type 2 to type 3. It's not a 3 sigma difference, but there is a difference. So let's keep it in mind. And here I would like you to focus on the left panel. So I missed this slide actually. Go back. This table, I don't know where it ended up. Anyway, let me do it in words. There's a slide missing. Each population, type 1, 2, and 3, can be, from the observations, can be associated to a certain mass range. And those masses from population synthesis, they can be associated with a certain time interval. So with the large error bars and large uncertainty, we can say that type 1 planetary nebulae are the one of progenitors around 1 gigayear, type 2 are around 4 to 6 gigayears, and type 3 are the oldest planetary nebulae in the galaxy. So we put these three parts, those are the black dots, planetary nebulae here, type 1, 2, and 3, we put a gradient slope slope with time, which correspond to a steepening of the metallicity gradient in the galaxy since the time of galaxy formation. And this seems to be agreeing with other populations. Of course, as I said, all populations are only planetary neighbors, so we have only this point here. But intermediate population, we can have open clusters. And here I put 2 points because we get 2 slopes, and we can get the details, 2 slopes depending whether you include the type of cluster or not. But they're still around here, and as for young population, we have several probes. We have, of course, the B stars, the A stars, H2 regions, and C-fits. And they're all steeper, there's overall steeper than for planetary nebulae in general. So those are really handy probes. As you see, you can constrain the relative gradient as well. This is neon. We have only the type 1, 2, and 3 planetary nebulae do not separate very well, but the table that I missed, I'm sorry. We can see that the statistics is very poor for the neon group, so I wouldn't pay so much attention to the right-hand side. In my opinion, the issue is still open, so it can go either way. But the interesting thing is that if we go even farther away and we go to the galaxies, so this plot shows the slope of the gradient versus time of stellar population for all and only the spiral galaxies for which we find abundances of planetary nebulae H2 regions have been measured. Okay, only and all. And they have to be measured in a sizable range in the galactic plane, otherwise you cannot get the gradient. So these blue dots are the Milky Way results that I will show, H2 region type 1, 2, and 3 planetary nebulae. The red dots, the red stars, are the work from Magrini et al. For M33. That's very shallow gradient flattening with time of stellar population, but there is some flattening. And here you see that in M33 you are able to distinguish type 1 and type 2 planetary nebulae. You're not able to do that in other galaxies. The two green points, I'm sorry, they're very faint, are from Stasinska, work from a year ago on NGC 300. It's a nice sample, and they also, H2 regions are here and here, so there is also that steepening with time. And the 2 black dots are our recent work on M81 with Gemini, with the GMOS. Again, we have 2 populations. It's a 3 sigma detection. That is steepening with time. So there are no other galaxies for which we can do this. There are many other important samples in M31, but there is no single galaxy you can do the 2 populations at the same time with a sizable sample. Great, then the gradients are basically steepening with time, and that's all. That's not solved at all, because there are other issues. And one important issue is stellar migration. So stellar migration was hypothesized at first because solar metallicity did not match the solar neighbor metallicity. But now, and so they say maybe there is stellar migration, but then stellar migration being studied, they changed the solar metallicity from night matches, so we don't need stellar migration anymore. But in the meantime, stellar migrations have been progress, and it seems like it exists in our galaxies. It doesn't move populations very far away. It can be just 1 or 2 kiloparsecs, so it will not change anything in our view so far. But very recently, I think a couple of weeks ago, I saw a paper in the AstroPH for simulation by Kubrick et al., where they show that a bar-dominated galaxy can migrate population very much. It changed completely the scenario. So the stellar migration, of course, flattens all gradients. If planetary nebulae that have been in the galactic disk for, let's say, 8 gig a year, to be compared with H2 regions, so the 2 gradients cannot be compared directly. The planetary nebulae should be demigrate to see what has been the enrichment in the gas. So I play with this, and this is the birth radius against the final radius, where you find a planetary nebula in the galaxy, according to Kubrick et al. bar-dominated galaxy. So this is the extreme case. If you have a 10 gigayear population, a star that has been, planet nebula projector has been in the galaxy for 10 gigayear, it has been migrated very much. And if it was born within, between the center of the galaxy and the sun, it has a huge inner migration, outer migration, and if it has been born outside the sun as to say a relative position, it has been migrated inward. So what is the result? Okay, this is oxygen mass versus galactic radius for our Milky Way, and the red dots are those type 2 planetary nebulae that we have seen in previous plots, where the slope is minus 0.3 dex per kiloparsec. The blue line is the type 1, which is basically the same that the H region, so the young population gradient, and this is the difference. So this is from those two slopes, as I said before, you can infer that the galactic mechanistic gradient has been steepening with time since galaxy formation, but if you demigrate the population, then you get this slope, which is even steeper than H regions, which will be compatible with the galactic mechanistic gradient flattening with time since galaxy formation. Of course, we don't expect this to happen. I mean, this is the extreme case where planetary nebulae have migrated at the maximum possible extent, assuming a super strong bar in the galaxy. So this is my extreme situation, but I wanted just to show that in order to compare gradients, you might also take into account migration, and then what you have inferred without migration might not hold anymore. So let me summarize quickly. We have done a thorough study of galactic DSPN, which allowed determination of mechanistic gradient measured in the log oxygen in the log radius of about minus 0.01 to minus 0.35 dex per kiloparsec, and that depends on planet nebula type according to the separation. Type 2 is about minus 0.03, and that's flatter than the one derived by from the H2 regions or from type 1 or from the younger population. They all agree with all the population in the galaxy. So it seems that planetary nebula mechanistic gradients, the mechanistic gradients are steepening with the time since galaxy formation. If you, I mean, this result, I don't have time to show that, but also agree with the local population, young star H2 region, and open cluster in today. Stellar migration might change that picture, and I just show you a toy extreme case. In the future, well, of course, we have only 120 type 2 planet nebulae for which this kind of exercise can be done, because we have to exclude all our blocked polar, bipolar. But there is a new database. It's not that new, but we haven't been completed yet. We have Spitzer spectra for 150 compact planet nebulae in the galaxy. We know their shape, we know everything, we know their center star. Eva Viljaber and her student or postdoc is working on the center star. We are working on the nebula, and Ting Wei Li is working on the abundances with those spectra and some optical spectra apart with SOAR. We have a survey with SOAR to complete that. So that hopefully will be presented in the next asymmetric planet nebula meeting. And the distances, of course, as he was saying this morning, once we have Gaia, we have better grasp on the gradient. And since this is a asymmetric planetary nebula meeting, I want to thank you by showing you the highest to date resolution planetary nebula image, which is a GSLI, is a ground-based telescope. It's Gemini, and it's you can basically walk on the nebula. It's so cool. Well, there was a thank you there, but I can forget it. Thank you.
Unfortunately, we're out of time for questions, so we'll move straight ahead to the next talk. And that is Walter Messiel, symmetric and asymmetric planetary nebulae, and the high variation of gradient abundance measurements.